People use the Common Data Service or Dynamics 365 today? Okay, so not everybody, so that's fine. So basically, for those of you who already have experience with the Common Data Service and Dynamics 365, I'm going to be talking a lot about how to take the existing scenarios that you have inside of Dynamics 365 and move them to Microsoft Flow. For those of you that don't have a lot of experience with Dynamics 365 or the Common Data Service, this is your opportunity to see some of kind of the intricacies of what that migration would look like. And to get a sense of all the possibilities in terms of what you can do in terms of automation on top of Dynamics 365 and CDS. So so specifically we'll be talking about both why and how you can use Microsoft Flow on top of the Common Data Service, primarily with a focus on migration from existing Dynamics workflow to Microsoft Flow. So before we dive in, I just want to take a step back. Hopefully you've seen this slide a couple times already in the past couple of days. But just to reiterate, Flow is part of the Power Platform. And the Power Platform is what enables all of the different applications that are out there, Dynamics, Office 365, as well as custom web and mobile apps, to be able to be extended by Power users inside of organizations. And the Power Platform includes Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow. And Flow is, of course, the workflow automation piece. That's hopefully everybody knows at least that much, that Flow is about automation. So that's what we'll all be focusing on today. And Flow and Power Apps and Power BI build on top of some key common components, namely the Common Data Service, although there's also AI Builder, which was announced yesterday. That's a new capability that allows people to build artificial intelligence, as well as the rich set of data connectors that we have, over 260 different connectors. And it is worth noting that all of these things are built on top of Azure now. So historically, even Dynamics 365 didn't always run on top of Azure. We had kind of our own internal infrastructure that we used for that. But these days, everything is on top of Azure. So all of the technology that we're talking about is run securely in the Azure cloud, just like pretty much everything else at Microsoft these days. So what I'll be focusing on today, along with Karan, is focusing on Flow and CDS and how those two really can work together to automate scenarios. So why should there be automation on top of the Common Data Service? What's the value here? Well, first of all, you can think about the Power Platform as something that needs a place to persist information, right? Whenever you build an approval process, you need somewhere to store the tasks that are associated with each of the people participating in that approval process. So if you think about, I'm approving something, I'm leaving comments, those have to go somewhere. And the somewhere that we have is the Common Data Service. And the reason this is important is because with the Common Data Service, you can very easily and automatically build applications, workflows, and dashboards on top of all of that data. So we won't get into this particular piece too much in this session, but there are other sessions that you can check out. I think there was Karan's session just before this one, talked a bit about how you can build analytics, for example, on top of this data inside of the Common Data Service. So by putting the data into the Common Data Service that's part of these processes that people are interacting with, it makes it possible to build all of these rich things on top of it. And the other thing is, with the model-driven applications that come from Power Apps, it's really just one click. Like, you can, in a single dialog, get a whole application bootstrapped just from the data model that's present inside of the Common Data Service. So that's why you should be using the Common Data Service. So why do you then need automation? Well, automation allows you to take automatic action on top of the data that you have. So once the data is in the Common Data Service, it's very easy to use Microsoft Flow to take action on top of all of that data that exists. So some really basic scenarios include things like notifying an account manager when a customer creates a support case. So notification flows, these are some of the most common flows just because they're so easy to do. Just say, when something happens, send me an email, or send me a text message, or post a message to a Teams channel. All of these notification flows, super easy to get set up and to bootstrap. Including Teams, for example. So these are, of course, the most basic scenarios, but Flow goes much richer and much deeper, and we'll talk about some of the things that you can do with Flow today. So one of the reasons that we were really doubling down on Flow is kind of a a automation technology across all Microsoft products is because it allows us to centralize the management and control for IT administrators over what's happening in terms of automation inside of a business. So I'm here today talking about the Common Data Service at Microsoft Flow, but we also have this exact same conversation going on in the world of SharePoint, where people want to be able to build automated processes on top of the data that they have inside of SharePoint. And in that case, the way this used to work is I would go use SharePoint workflow to build workflows in SharePoint, and I'd use Dynamics workflow to build workflows inside Dynamics, and there'd be no centralized management or control over what's happening. It'd be impossible for an administrator to get that visibility. But with Flow, because we're consolidating all these workflow technologies into a single place, that does give a way for admins to have that full visibility and control over everything that's happening inside of the organization. And we have things like dashboards and integration with Intune, multi-factor authentication, audit logging, all of the things that you'd expect from an enterprise-grade tool. So this is one of the things that really is, it's one of the reasons why we're really trying to centralize behind one single technology for workflow, which is Microsoft Flow. Now, Flow, unlike these other older workflow technologies, also has the ability to connect to over 260 different cloud services. And this number increases every single month. In just the last month, we added 13 new connectors. So you can say if every month we add between 10 and 15 connectors, this number is actually really hard to keep up to date on our slides, which is really, really a tax on us. But besides the connectors, we also have the ability to connect to on-premises data systems. So if you do have, for example, if you have Dynamics on-premises, you can actually connect to that from Microsoft Flow, or SharePoint, or SQL, or really any on-premises systems. Plus, we have the ability to use custom connectors. So even if we don't have a built-in capability to connect to something, custom connectors allow you to reach into any service, any endpoint that exists in the cloud. And these are some of the reasons why the legacy workflow technologies were really problematic, because they completely lacked all this technology. There was no way from Dynamics Workflow to easily reach out into an external system and get and retrieve data or send data. And yes, theoretically, you could write a bunch of code in a plugin and call that, but that's a way more taxing endeavor than simply going to a nice UI designer, selecting another service, and being ready to go. And just as evidence of this, we have hundreds of templates that connect to Dynamics 365 and to the Common Data Service. And you can just see a sampling here of some of the most popular ones. And just by glancing at this, you can get a sense of how common and rich the connectivity is between all of these different systems. I mean, you can see things like Dynamics connecting to Office 365, but also things to Planner. There's Google Sheets there, Forms Pro, Yammer, Microsoft To Do, Project. All of these different systems exist inside your organization, and you need to be able to build processes that can be orchestrated across these systems. So this is why we're really passionate about getting Flow out there and having Flow be used as the workflow tool that you can leverage inside of your organization. So I definitely recommend, if you have a chance, just go to the Flow website and search by Dynamics or search by the Common Data Service, and you'll see all of the different things that you can do there. Okay, so diving into a little bit more detail, what does Flow offer specifically against the legacy workflow technology that's in the Common Data Service, which generally we refer to as Dynamics Workflow? Well, today there's a bunch of stuff that Dynamics Workflow doesn't have at all that we can do from Flow. Things like parallel branching, looping, the ability to run on a schedule, a modern design experience. These things don't exist inside of Dynamics Workflow. And we already have them today inside of Microsoft Flow. There are a few things that we're working on that are coming soon, and we'll be talking a lot about that during this session about what is it that we're doing to close those gaps. And you can see there's about 5 or 6 things there that we're really focusing on adding to close this out, to get to a point where any scenario that you could previously do with the Dynamics technology, you can now do with Microsoft Flow. So that's one of the big things that we've been working on here at Microsoft is closing out these gaps and getting it to a point where really there should be no question in your mind about what technology you should be using for building workflows on top of the Common Data Service. So with that, we're going to switch over to the demo. This is, which one is this? 6? I think it's 6. No. Oh, it's 5.
All right.
Well, that one's 5. This one is.
Oh. Technical difficulties. Buttons are hard.
There's lots of buttons up here.
All right. So in this demo, I'm going to be playing the role of a sales rep, and I sell road bikes. And I am currently working with a customer who has a company that's going to do bike tours around the city of Atlanta. And for that, they need me to provide them with 1,500 road bikes and associated extra tires and helmets. Now, I've gone ahead and prepared a quote for them using my sales application in Dynamics 365. So here you see I've added, this is the name of the opportunity. I have a whole bunch of products that I've added in here, along with sort of the price per unit, tracking how much I'm actually going to offer them, any discounts are provided, and the amount that is finally extended to them on each of these line items. Along the bottom, you'll see that we even have sort of the calculations after taxes and total and freight to calculate the total amount that we're going to be charging this customer. So really, this is a pretty comprehensive quote to provide this customer, detailing exactly what we're going to give them, at what price, and the final amount for the deal. Now, our business practices within the organization require us to request approval before sharing any quotes with the customer to make sure that not only is it the right thing for the customer that we're offering, but it's also the right thing to do for the business. Doing this with Flow is super simple. To do that, I simply go up into the Flow menu and click the Flow to request an approval for a quote. This is going to connect to the Common Data Service and to a bunch of other services that I'm going to use in my Flow to run it. So I click on the Run Flow button, and we're done. Just like that, I have just a couple of clicks requested approval on this particular quote. Now, in addition to sort of requesting approval, I've also done some work to go ahead and post this on the Teams channel. On our sales team, we use Teams a whole bunch, and oftentimes you're going to get eyes on Teams first. So here I have sort of very soon what you'll see come through is an approval request on Teams. And it will look something like the card here. You'll notice, and there we go, you'll notice that not only do I have the option to either approve or reject the quote, but I've also been able to bring in key facts from the quote. For instance, I've summarized all the product line items that I had on that quote. So you can see I have 1,500 of the Fabricam Street 2 road bike, which cost me $600 each, but I've offered it at $810,000 with a $180,000 discount. You see I've offered Contoso tires for the price of $35 each with no discount. I've been able to offer safety helmets, again, with no discount. This, for those of you who are familiar with Dynamics workflows, I think you'll agree, was incredibly difficult. To do this with Dynamics workflows, you would pretty much have to build a plugin to go ahead and get all the related line items for that quote. With flows, it's really simple. Let me show you how. So this is the flow I built to automate the process of sending an approval for a quote and also populating it with all of the information about the quote so you don't have to really look at the entire record every single time. I begin the flow with the when a record is selected trigger. This allows me to run a flow not just on a particular record, but also on a group of records that I select from a grid in model-driven apps. Next, I use the list record action from the Common Data Service. Now, again, in Dynamics workflows, you would have to build a custom plugin to do this. Here, it's an out-of-box action. I simply specify that I want to bring all the quote line items from my quote and provide an OData syntax-based filter query to break only those line items about the quote that this is about. Finally, I'm going to make a variable just to kind of hold all the summary information that I'm going to pull from each and every line item. Next, I'm going to loop over all of the line items. So in this case, recall we had 3 products. So this loop is going to run twice. It's going to run 3 times. Again, looping in Dynamics workflows was fairly difficult. Here, I then bring in, for every line item that we had from our list, I'm bringing in the quantity, the name of the product, the price per unit, the amount that we've actually offered to the customer, and the discount that we've offered. I do this thrice to create the entire summary of what the quote is all about. Finally, I create an approval with all of this information in there, and then post that approval to Teams so my sales manager can go see it. So just like that, we've been able to take a quote with a simple click, with a couple of clicks, request an approval, but the sales manager seeing all the details about that quote without ever having to go to the Dynamics record. And all of this is done with out-of-box capabilities in Flow. Back to you.
Great. So hopefully that gives you a taste of the types of things you can do with Microsoft Flow today inside of Dynamics or the Common Data Service. I think we were on 5. Yep, great. So those types of scenarios, that would have been basically impossible to build using the previous technology, but now it's easy. And some of the things that are valuable about that is really anybody who has permissions to access that system can create a simple notification flow. Like there's no additional requirements of permissions or setup to do that. Okay, so now let's dive into specifically what is the timeline for how we're comparing against Dynamics workflow. So when we think about some of the things that were on that first slide, where there's still some remaining gaps, what are we doing to fix those gaps? So I won't read off every single bullet point on this slide, but you can get the sense that we're starting. We're in June right now. There's some things that are coming this month. For example, the ability to have kind of multiple types of events. So today inside Flow, you only have one trigger ever in a flow, right? But you can actually configure that trigger to say, I want this trigger to fire whenever a record has been updated or deleted or created. You'll be able to configure that. Coming in July, we'll have more things like change sets, August, through September, and then finally in October, our goal is that by October we have full parity with all of the current capabilities that are in async workflow. So that means any scenario that's built on top of asynchronous workflow inside of the Common Data Service today, you should be able to migrate that to Microsoft Flow by October. And then, of course, there's some things that we're working on post-October, which we will talk about a little bit later on in the presentation. But really, just to get a sense, hopefully you can use this to really understand. You can take a bet now on the Common Data Service workflows inside of Flow. So what are some of the things we've already done that are available today? So today, for example, you can have triggers that fire only for certain fields that are being changed. So this is a very common request. We get this all the time across many different services that people use, where they have a trigger inside of Flow, and they want the ability to say, I only want this trigger to fire if the state of the record is updated, or only if this particular column changes. Only when the first name changes do I need to go off and do some additional logic. And that's actually possible today using the Common Data Service. So you can do that. Additionally, you can even say, I want to listen to multiple fields. So you can basically say, if the first name or the last name changes, I want to go and run something. And this is really good because it minimizes kind of the amount of noise that you'll get, right? If you listen to whenever there's an update anywhere on a record, that could be really noisy, and it could do a lot of additional load on your system. Also today, you can choose different scopes. So inside of the Common Data Service, you could say, I want this workflow to trigger just for the records that this user owns, or you could say, I want this workflow to trigger for all of the records inside of the organization. So that gives you the flexibility to go from very individual personal scenarios where I just want something to run for my scenarios versus I want something to run for the whole organization. And note that this isn't a way to bypass permissions. So even if I don't have permissions to see some records, I can't create a workflow that gives me information about those records, right? Everything inside Flow is secured based on the permissions that exist in whatever system we connect to. This isn't just for CDS. Across the board, there is no way to do something in Flow that you or the person running the flow doesn't have permission to do already. It's impossible. We do no escalation of privileges. And then the other thing we've released recently is the ability to work with more data types. So for example, inside of CDS, you can have things like multi-select option sets. So inside the UI, you have those different checkboxes where you can select different types of things. So you can work with those inside of Flow now. Things like customer fields, et cetera. So there's been a lot that we've already done in the past couple of months to close some of these parity gaps. And then, of course, you could tell by that roadmap there's a lot of things that are coming. Before I do that, though, I want to go on a slight tangent because I heard some of you may not be as familiar with the Common Data Service and how it works. I want to talk about the life cycle of processes inside of the Common Data Service. So if you want to build robust, reliable processes, it's really important that you create a full application lifecycle management pipeline. And the reason that's important is because you don't want people going to your production system and just changing the way it works, right? You don't want somebody going to your production system, editing some workflow, and suddenly breaking a business critical process that you have. So generally, you want to make sure that your production environment is locked down and that people aren't making changes directly in production. If anybody has development experience, they're already familiar with that. If you're a power user and you haven't ever developed any code, maybe that's not something you're as familiar with. But it's just as important, right? You don't want people just going and breaking your system. And the way to do that is by using environments and solutions. And these concepts are really important because what you can do is you can set up a test environment and build your stuff there, right? Test your things out, use some test data or some sample data, get all of your workflows working, and then when you're ready, you can deploy that to a production environment and monitor it there and make sure that everything is working. If something goes wrong, you shouldn't go change production. You should go back to your test environment, fix it up, and then move that solution to production again. So this depends on something in the Common Data Service called solutions. And solutions are the way to move this information from environment to environment. So that's really important. So a solution just packages up all of the different assets you have. And it's more than just the flows. It also can include the entities in the Common Data Service and applications that you've built. If you built Power Apps, for example, that use those entities in Common Data Service, those too can be included inside a solution. And you can move these things from environment to environment. Now, with the workflows that are built, with the flows that are built on top of the Common Data Service, these can now be automatically activated on import to a production environment. So this is a new feature that we just released, I think, a month or so ago. And what this means is if I build a flow in my test environment and I move it to production, it can be running automatically as soon as I import it. And that's really important for those resilient processes that you need to make sure are running. And the thing to keep in mind with this, though, is this only works if the flow doesn't have connections out to other systems that are unauthorized. So what I mean by that is, imagine I have a flow that connects to Microsoft Teams. Dynamics 365 can't just automatically connect to Microsoft Teams. Somebody needs to authorize that connection. And what that means is, the first time that you move a flow into a production environment, all of the CDS things will just work automatically. There's no additional work required. But if you are connecting out to other systems, you need to make sure that that production environment has the appropriate connections that can be authorized to talk to those other services, like Teams or SharePoint, or even if you want to have a flow that talks to Salesforce, you can do that, but you need to make sure that everything is authorized in that production environment first. And then subsequent deployments can automatically use those connections. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're building out your application lifecycle management for the flows that you have. And the way that we've done this is by making CDS what we call native. And what that means is Power Apps and flows now can connect to the Common Data Service without any intermediate connector. So a connector is it's a bit of an implementation detail, but it does have implications for you because you have to create connections to a given service. And specifically what that means is you should use there's a new set of actions inside of the Flow Designer when you create something in a solution under the Common Data Service parentheses current environment. It's a very short and concise name. And when you build your flows that use these new actions, they will automatically work across deployments, and you won't need to change any configuration. Because if you imagine in Flow, if I create a flow that points directly at the environment, like it hard codes that environment URL in my test environment, when I move that to production, it's still going to be pointing at that test environment. So you need to make sure to use this connector specifically, or these set of actions specifically, to make these things work as you move them from environment to environment. So that's actually, if I had to provide one piece of guidance for when you're building workflows on top of CDS today, it's this. Use solutions, and inside the solutions, use that current environment connector, and then everything will work. Specifically, there's a connector called Dynamics 365 don't use that connector anymore, okay? The common data service connector can do everything that the Dynamics 365 connector previously could do, and the Dynamics 365 connector is actually deprecated. So don't be building any new workflows on top of that. Use this new common data service current environment connector. You can, over time, obviously we're not going to delete the Dynamics 365 connector, so those flows will continue to work. If you already built some flows on top of that, that's fine. But for anything new, go to Solutions and use that connector. Just diving into some of the things that are coming soon, just to give you a sense of what we have. One is the ability to have multiple triggers. I kind of mentioned this earlier, and that's coming this year. I think there's more specific dates on that first slide that you can reference. But this is an example of what it will look like. Basically, you'll be able to pick different types of combinations of events. I want something to fire only when there's a crate, or I could say I want something to fire whenever there's a crate or update or delete. And the only thing you'll have to keep in mind for this scenario is if a record is deleted, you can't then use the fields from that record to do something. The record isn't there anymore, right? So when you build your flow, you may have to have some additional logic, like conditions, to check to make sure that the data that you want to work on is actually present inside of the flow. Another thing that's coming is the ability to view the flow runs on related records. So if I have a record, just like what we saw in this demo today, where I could go and look at the, what I need to be able to do is go and look at the workflows that have run on that particular record. So we'll actually build support so you can actually filter to the specific runs associated with just that record. And that'll give you visibility inside of the unified client to be able to filter and figure out what exactly happened to this approval process. Like, what if I sent that request to Teams for a quote and then Karan never responded? Like, I need the ability to see that, and you'll be able to do that with this feature that is coming. Another thing that's, well, there's actually a few things on this slide. We have change sets. So change sets are a really interesting concept. These already exist on the web API, but this one has actually never existed inside of asynchronous workflow. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to group together a series of multiple actions into a single scope that can be executed as a single transaction. And that's really important because there may be cases where you say, I want these 5 updates to all happen at the exact same time, and if any one of them fails, I want the previous ones to roll back. So this is a common concept if you've worked with database technologies, the idea of creating transactions and the ability to roll back if something goes wrong. And you actually be able to do that from inside of Flow. So if you want to read some data, write some data, you can do that all inside of that single change set, and it'll be executed as a single unit. And this will both help with performance as well, because it's not a bunch of calls going back and forth, as well as the reliability to get this thing to be executed. Another thing that we've been asked for a lot is, what about all the existing custom workflow activities I've written? I'm using Dynamics Workflow. I have all this legacy code that I have. Will I be able to use it? And the answer is yes. We will expose a way for you to call into any of the custom workflow activities that are registered inside the system, so you can use them from inside of your flow. Another super common request is the ability for people to call one flow from another. So this is useful even outside of the common data service on completely unrelated scenarios. If I want to use SharePoint or Exchange or anything like that, sometimes I want to encapsulate some logic into a flow that I can call from a bunch of other flows, right? Because this is very common if you don't want to copy and paste a bunch of actions across 20 different flows if you have a series of steps that you want to reuse. So today you can already do this by using an HTTP endpoint. So you can actually call that HTTP endpoint and pass it a JSON payload. But for a lot of users, that's too complicated. Plus, it requires copy-pasting URLs back and forth. It's really a bit of a hassle. So what we're doing is we're adding new built-in actions that will allow you just from a drop-down to just pick, what workflow do you want to run, and then it will go and run it right from any other workflow that you have. This will work with any flow that has a button trigger or a for selected record trigger. So in the demo, that was a flow that was triggered based on that for selected record. So you can actually call that flow from another flow. So you won't be able to use this for calling any other flow generically, because flows that are specifically bound to data events changing. If I have a flow that says, whenever I get an email, do something with the email content. Well, I can't run that flow from another flow because I don't have the email content to run the flow on. Right? I actually need an email, like presumably my flow is going to do something with that email content. So this won't work generically across every single type of flow, but for flows that are runnable on demand, you'll be able to do that as well. And another thing that Dynamics Workflow has, again, this is generically applicable to everybody, is the ability to resume a flow from a failed action. So today, if a flow fails, say I have 10 steps and I fail on step 5, I could go into that flow, I could edit step 5, maybe I had a typo or something went wrong. And today what happens, I can resubmit that flow from the top, and it'll start from the beginning and rerun actions 1 through 4. But what if I don't want actions 1 through 4 to run? I want to start at step 5 where this thing failed and continue from there. So we're actually adding that ability, and that will be coming later this year as well. And that, of course, will be useful for any type of flow that you build. Another thing that we're working on is user impersonations. This is something else that wasn't available in asynchronous workflow. But what you'll be able to do is choose on each of the actions that you have in your flow and say whether or not that action runs as you, the author of the flow, or as the person who has triggered the flow. So you can already do this today for button flows that we have. If I have a flow on a mobile device and I want to run that instantly from my mobile device, I can do that. And the author of that flow can choose whether or not when I run that button, I can bring my connection, or it can use the connection used by the author. So thinking about some scenarios here, if I want to be able to run a query against the database, accessing records that I have access to as the author, I can do that, and that can return some filtered information back to the user. But if I want the query in the database to only show the records that that user has access to, I actually want to run it with their permissions, not with my permissions. So you actually can choose now, you'll be able to choose for all of the actions inside your flow what context to use. You'll be able to call any action inside of the Common Data Service and all of these things that are registered with the system. And finally, you'll also be able to use wait conditions. So what a wait condition is in the middle of the flow, I can wait for a certain event to happen. I can wait for a record to be updated, or I can wait for a record to be deleted in the middle of a flow. And that will be very useful as well. So what about synchronous workflow? This is a common question that I get. I'm talking about all of these asynchronous background scenarios. So today, the first thing I would say is there's a lot of synchronous workflow scenarios where you could use async workflow, but you don't for whatever reason. So for those, definitely move those to asynchronous workflow. It's always better to run asynchronously because that reduces the load on your system. But if you don't have the ability to run asynchronously, another thing you could try is maybe there's only a portion of your workflow that needs to run synchronously. And in that case, you'll be able to use change sets. So because change sets run as a single synchronous transaction. But if even then you actually can't do it, we still would require you to use synchronous workflow today, the Dynamics workflow, that legacy technology. And we'll have additional guidance coming later this year about how to deal with those processes. So that will be information that we'll be sharing later on. OK, so with that, I'm going to hand it back to Karan, and we'll talk a bit about some patterns that we see in terms of moving workflows to Microsoft Flow.
Thanks, Stephen. So at this point, we've all kind of seen how Flows is able to automate scenarios that you previously would have a hard time automating using classic Dynamics workflows. We've seen all of the different actions that are going to be added to help us bring up to parity with existing capabilities in Dynamics workflows to help bridge that gap. So I'm sure all of you are super excited to move to Flows at this point. So one of the things kind of going forward post-October that we're looking at is to help you move your existing workflows to Dynamics Flows. How can we make that life easier for you? And one of the things we want to invest in is to provide some sort of assistance in moving and converting these dynamic workflows into flow templates. So in doing this, we'll generate flow templates from your existing workflow definitions. Right. These templates will comprise of the overall workflow structure. So that includes the triggers or the events on which these classic workflows have run, the actions they perform, as well as the conditional logic based upon which you have your business rules defined. We'll generate these templates for you, but by default, they'll be deactivated. We want to do this for the simple reason that we don't want to impact your day-to-day business operations. your workflows will not go anywhere once you do this conversion. They will continue to exist. They will continue to run as if nothing ever happened. Our recommendation, once you convert these workflows to flow templates, is to do a manual review of them. Just make sure that your triggers, your actions, and your conditions are all defined as they were in Dynamics workflows, that they all do the exact same things that they did for your scenario with dynamic workflows. Finally, once you've verified that this is all correct, then come up with a strategy of how you're going to disable your existing dynamic workflows and light up flows so you have minimal business impact. But these are all things that we're sort of looking to do in the post-October timeframe. What about workflows that you have today that can be not only simplified, but built entirely on top of flows? Because unlike workflows, you can do a lot of the things just out of box. So for this, we have sort of a set of recommended patterns. So the first is if you have complex if-else logic. So for those of you who are familiar with Dynamics workflows, you'll recognize this, that if you had a lot of nested conditions, if-elses, this became really, really large and difficult to manage. Updating your business rule in these cases required you to update every single else-if condition to make sure it was all consistent. Well, in flows, you have the construct of switch statements. Switch statements are really simple. You simply specify a data field that you want to check, and then you have a bunch of different cases that check what they're equal to. So for instance, let's say I want to perform certain operations like sending an email or assigning a record to somebody else, depending upon the sales stage that my opportunity record is in. Previously, with Dynamics workflows, you would define a series of if-else conditions. If my process stage is qualify, else if process stage is develop, and so on. With flows and switch statements, you can simply say switch on the process stage field, and if it's qualify, inform the sales rep that it needs to be qualified. If it's in propose, block time for the team to go ahead and review this proposal and assign it to the AE or the account executive to update the probability, and so on. Second, workflows that run from plugins or code. Now, this used to be a necessity with workflows because, as in processes, there are certain external events and triggers that you do need to hook into to run your processes on the common data service. With flows, we have, 260 plus connectors. To Stephen's point of us having a hard time keeping it up to date, we have 260 plus connectors to build your triggers off of. And again, you can add your own custom connectors and even connect to on-premises systems. There was also patterns previously on managing workflow runs. So this was typically done to prevent two runs of the same workflow kind of overriding each other and getting the data into an inconsistent state. To that, we recommend using chain sets, which is coming soon, to ensure that your actions run as a single transaction. And finally, there was workflows that ran recursively. This was used as a workaround to do looping. With flows, we have extensive support for looping. You can use a for each loop if you have a list of items that you want to iterate over. Instead, if you want to do something repetitively until a certain condition is met, you can use the do until loop that's provided in a flow. Monitoring workflow runs was a little bit of a pain point in classic Dynamics workflows. With flows, you get some out-of-the-box capabilities to see how many runs of your flows you've had, how many successes, how many failures through out-of-box Power BI dashboards. However, if you want a little more detailed insight into what specifically failed, why did that particular action fail, you can easily configure run after settings to decide what actions you take if a particular action fails. So for this example, send me a mobile notification on my Flow app when the update a record action fails or times out. This was something you could not do with classic CDS workflows. You can do with flows to help you notify to help you identify scenarios in which your flows break. There were also patterns where you would have to sleep a workflow for a certain amount of time, or rather wait for a certain amount of time before resuming operations. This was typically done to work around the fact that classic CDS workflows did not support schedule flows. So things like go and get me a list of leads that I store in an Excel document periodically and put it in my Dynamics application. That was really hard to do with Dynamics workflows. With flows, you have the out-of-box recurrence trigger, All you do is simply set up a flow with the recurrence trigger and specify what periodic intervals you need to run the business logic at. You can define this right from like seconds to minutes, hours, days, weeks, and even months for frequency. Finally, flows that need a list of records, and we saw this in the demo we just saw earlier. Getting a list of records related to a particular entity or a list of records that you own and things like that was really hard with Dynamics workflows. Here we have an out-of-box action, the list records action. What we do recommend is that whenever you do use this action, provide as specific a filter criteria as possible to optimize its execution. So with that, I'm going to give it back to Stephen to touch upon licensing.
Great. So one of the other common questions that we get is around licensing. What are the implications in terms of, Flow is kind of presented as a separate product from Dynamics. So does that mean that it's actually safe to use Dynamics in the context of Microsoft Flow? And the answer is definitely yes. So every single Dynamics user is entitled to use Microsoft Flow. Every Dynamics license comes with the rights to use anything that's inside of Dynamics automatically. So in terms of what's included with this license, the first thing to understand is that if you go to the Flow pricing page, you may see that different Flow plans have different timings associated with them. So like they say one flow will run in 15 minutes or another flow will run in 5 minutes, depending on the plan that you have. That isn't the case for Dynamics workflows because with Flow, we have the ability to trigger things that we call webhooks. And webhooks allow an instant notification to be sent to the workflow system, which means with Flow, there's no more delay than just really a few seconds for Dynamics workflows. So no polling is required. You don't have to worry about that. However, as with direct access for the Dynamics API itself, there are limits and throttles inside the system to govern usage to make sure that you're not doing something that would impact other people inside the database, other people using the system. So specifically, for example, there's a limit on 100,000 actions every 5 minutes per flow, and a single flow can't process more than 100,000 items at a time. So, if you're thinking about Dynamics workflow, you couldn't even do looping. So, this was something that you would never, in any sane world, be able to hit. So hopefully this isn't really much of a limitation at all for what you're doing. But just be aware that with the Dynamics plans, this limit does exist. And if you do something where if you have a database with 1 million records and you try to build a single flow that every 5 minutes downloads all those 1 million records and does something with them, you will actually be throttled. So there are limitations in the system, and you have to be aware of these as you build out the processes that you have. Likewise, there's a limit on the size of the data that you can have. You can't have more than kind of 6 gigabytes go through the system for a given flow in a 5-minute period. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that a single flow run will time out after 30 days. So you can work around this today by using nested workflows, having one flow call another flow. Or if you're building an end-to-end process that is involving human steps, because you're not going to have a single API call last 30 days. This is only going to matter once you have people interacting with the system, right? You have an approval action that you want to wait on. For those, we'd recommend using business process flows, because business process flows can actually run indefinitely. There's no time limit associated with them. And finally, there is also some tenant-level throttling that is in effect on the number of runs that can exist in a month. And basically, the way this works is for every user that's in the tenant, you get 15,000 runs per user appended to that throttle, which means that if you have any large number of users, you're never going to run into this. If you have a very, very small number of users, you could potentially run into this throttle. And in that case, we do have a way to raise it by purchasing additional flow runs. So with that, I'm going to switch back to the laptop, if we can remember. You remember which one it was?
No.
Was it 7?
Button roulette again.
OK, great. And we're going to do one more quick demo, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We were talking about using that built-in CDS native connector that we have. So I can show you exactly just what that looks like. So you get started by going to solutions. And solutions, these are the things that group your things together, that move across environments. And so we already have a solution that we've built for this approval quote process that we created. So when I come into the solution, you're going to see there's a couple flows already here that have been created. So I can just come to new inside of the solution and create a new flow. And this will open up another tab for me to start authoring this process. Now, let's do something pretty simple. We may notice that on this opportunity, there's this business process flow. And what I want to do is I want to have a flow that triggers when this business process flow moves from one stage to another stage. So after the qualification stage has completed, for example, I want to update another record or send out a notification. Maybe like the other flow, we can send something to Teams. So I come here into the Flow Designer, and I search for a common data service. And you're going to see two connectors here. One, this is the current environment connectors. This is the important one that we recommend using because this allows you to have that configuration be generic and always point at whatever environment this solution is present in. Inside of this, I can choose that trigger condition. Today, again, just these simple fields, but in the future, you'll be able to do a lot more configuration. And let's trigger this on that opportunity process, the opportunity sales process that we were just looking at. Here's where I can use that scope. I can choose what scope, organization or user. Some entities only support organization scope, so I can just choose that there. And then I can go to advanced options and add the filtering attributes. So these are the fields that we only want this flow to trigger based on. So I can go to the entity to see the names, the actual names of these fields. You have to use the name, not the display name, when you're building out this flow. And I just want to trigger this when the active stage ID changes. So I can copy that and paste that back into here. So now this flow will trigger when somebody moves across the different stages in that business process. And at this point, I can just send a message into Teams, for example, and say that hey, the stage of this process has been updated. And with this message, I can just go and use any of the data that existed in that record inside of the business process. So I can say, come over here, search for name, and say name, stage changed. And do you remember the
Administrator app.
Admin?
Yeah.
There we go. Great. And that will go. So with that, I've been able to create a flow that natively connects to the common data service. It will be updated when just a single field on a record changes. In this particular case, it's when the stage changes in the business process. So if I put this into test mode, I'll go ahead and perform this trigger action. And I can come here and hit next stage. And I'll select that same quote. That will update that stage field of the business process. And as soon as this is done loading, okay, there we go, I should be able to come back to the flow. And you can see it's now running. Well, I must have done something wrong with my team step. But you can see it triggered almost instantaneously, right? There's no polling delay here associated with flow because it's using those webhooks to send the information across almost instantaneously. So that's how easy it is to, from scratch, build something that natively connects to the common data service, listens to a particular field, and goes off and runs actions across any of the systems that you have. And now, if I was doing this for real, I would look at this error message and figure out what did I do wrong, and say, I didn't put a message in. Yep, the message you probably should include when you're trying to send something. But in this particular case, I'm going to switch back to the slides, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, so in terms of the call to action, definitely familiarize yourself with these patterns that we've talked about today. In particular, use solutions like I just showed you to build flows that connect using that common data service current environment actions. don't use a Dynamics 365 connector. And start looking at converting your existing Dynamics workflows to Flow. If some of you didn't raise your hands when you said you're currently using the Common Data Service, in that case, don't start with Dynamics Workflow. If you haven't already built stuff, use Flow. We have all of the basic capabilities already there that we shared. Some pretty advanced capabilities are there today as well. So if you want to automate the Common Data Service, follow the patterns that we shared. You can use the hundreds of templates that we have available to you to get started. There's a bunch of content that's available online for you to check out. So you can go to the resources and the links when you get the slides after the session. I guess you can't take pictures of these links. Or you can just go to Bing and search them. And with that, I think, just for reference, if you want to understand more, concrete customer scenarios about what people are doing with the Common Data Service and Microsoft Flow, I definitely recommend checking out this Real World Stories track. It's all the way in the other building, so it's a bit of a hike, but you can check it out. And I guess there's just 2 more sessions left in that track, but you can also watch these sessions online. This is a great way to understand what are people actually doing today with the Common Data Service and Microsoft Flow, as well as Power Apps and Power BI, basically everything inside of the Power Platform. And with that, I think we have about 8 minutes for questions. So there's a mic over here if you want to just go to the mic so that way the recording can pick you up. It's
Hello? So for notifications, say you want to get it updated every time a record is deleted, but you don't want to get every single one. Is there a way to summarize them so you can see on a daily basis, these are all of the ones that were?
Yeah. So for those of you who couldn't hear, the question was, if I want to get a summary every day of all the records that have been deleted. So what the way that you'd have to do that today is you would have to keep track of, you do when an item is deleted, and then you'd save that record somewhere. So you just say, I'm going to, like some sort of entity that just has some scratch information that just lists the entities that have been deleted in the past day. You can create another flow that runs every day that lists all of the records that have been deleted and just cleans up that table once it's run. And that gives you the ability to have a summary, and you can use the loops like Karan showed, where you can create a list, or you can even create HTML tables that get sent in emails. So you can do all types of rich information that way.
Currently in the workflows designer, whenever there's a change that requires to change the structure of your workflow, you need to re-author your workflow completely. Just wondering, in the flow designer, do you need to start over if there's a change, or you can actually copy-paste your stuff around?
So yeah, that's a great question. So inside the flow designer today, you can just drag and drop. So you can actually just take the actions, move them wherever you want them. If you want to put an action inside a condition, you can put it there. The one drawback with drag and drop is that doesn't work across flows today. So we actually are adding in the next couple of weeks, or within the next month or so, the ability to copy paste actions across flows. So you can actually have flows open in multiple tabs and copy and paste and get those actions kind of wherever you want. So hopefully that should make it easier to build and author these things.
Are weights also time boxed to 30 days?
Yes. So.
And are there any performance detriments to having hundreds, thousands of weights?
So they are time boxed. So basically, a single instance of a flow can only run for 30 days. You, of course, can have nested flows to work around that, but that does include waits in the middle of a flow. However, there's absolutely no performance implication to having this thing run. You could have hundreds or thousands of parallel runs, because of the webhook infrastructure that we use, it doesn't pull to check regularly. It actually listens on an event to come in from the database. So if you could have 100,000 waits and there's no performance implications at all.
Because we typically wait for 24 hours before something and send out a reminder.
Yep.
So we kind of have to poll in that case, but.
Yeah. So in that case, you can have just a delay action inside the flow that says wait 24 hours, and then at the end of the 24 hours, you check to see whether or not you still need to send out the reminder. So if you want to see on unapproved sales orders, you want to send out a reminder. So what you do is when an order is created, wait 24 hours, check to see if it's been sent yet. If not, then send out a reminder. And if you want, you can even put those 2 steps in a loop. So you could say, every 24 hours, wait, check to see if it's done yet, send out a reminder, and just keep doing that. And that will last for up to 30 days.
This is kind of a meta question, and it might just belie my ignorance about all this new stuff. But when you talked earlier about lifecycle environments, which made me really happy.
Yep.
So how would a team deal with version and source control with this kind of stuff? Because it's like low code, no code, and yet we want to be able to do that.
So that's a great question. I am 90% certain that there's actually a session here this week that actually dives deep into ALM and source control. But the short answer is generally, if you want your team to use source control, you can actually take these solutions that you saw me build. They're just files. You can just put them into source control, and you can programmatically spin up environments as you want to be able to take those codes, the changes in source control, and put them into an actual live environment that you can test against. So we actually have built-in Azure DevOps, or not built-in, we have Azure DevOps tasks you can create to actually go and automate your whole dev pipeline. And yes, it's maybe a little more than no code, it's low code, but this tooling is actually important when you have real production stuff running. So yeah. Jerry.
So I've asked this question before it got shut down, but I think Karan's slide may help. You suggested using switch case instead of conditional if then else, okay? But switch case only supports equal, and in if then else we've got contains, greater than, less than, whatever. So how's that going to work, and can we get contains in switch case? I'll ask that again now publicly.
Yeah, so for those kinds of scenarios, I'd actually recommend using expressions. So for instance, let's say you wanted to, let's pick a scenario. Let's say you had a series of stages in qualify, right? So qualify, reach out to qualify, know your customer, qualify, contact customer, qualify, identify band, and so on. And let's say you wanted to switch only on stages that contain the word qualify. So the way you would do that is you would actually use an expression to say, given a stage name, does this contain qualify? If yes, return true or label it as qualify. And then you can use that in your switch to actually switch upon those different cases.
Yeah, so you'd use it not in the case, but in the switch statement.
Yeah.
There you can put an expression, and there you can do any if whatevers you want, including greater than, conditions, contains, all that stuff.
Okay, so then I'll play the parody card here. Now you're suggesting to functional consultants that they have to write expressions for something that they could just pick from a drop-down list in classic workflow.
So if you're worried about functional consultants, you can always just put an if inside another if. Yeah, I think in the case of Flow, the expression editing experience we have right now, if you've used it before, is a little janky. But we're working on improving that as well to make it more pleasant to work with and build expressions.
Yeah, just a note on that. One of the things I guess keep in mind as to how you make these kinds of decisions, because that's a really important point, is around sort of readability and maintainability of your flows. If it does turn out that these are very complicated expressions that makes it actually difficult for you to parse and maintain your flows, you're probably better off using expressions. If it turns out that these are actually pretty important things that you need users to be aware of upfront, maybe use an if. So that's one of the things to keep in mind as you make a decision between expressions and using the actual conditions.
Yep.
So we started with Dynamics, and we created custom entities, everything in Dynamics. I don't see any of them in CDS. Is there some sort of way to get them in there, or do we have to create them with the new menu, new entity, create it there? How does that work?
I'm almost afraid to ask this question. But when you say Dynamics, which Dynamics are you talking about?
Cloud.
Which cloud? So there's actually several different ones. There's the Dynamics for sales and service. There is finance and operations, and there's Business Central. Do you know which one you're?
Sales and service.
Okay, great. So that actually is already on the Common Data Service. So the reason you're not seeing it likely is there's that environment switcher at the top right. You just need to pick the right Dynamics instance. Okay. So like you should actually see like if you named your instance like foobar, in parentheses you'll see instance name foobar, at the top right when you go there.
Yep.
Once you select it, you should then see exactly the entities you've already created inside Dynamics, and you can use them for everything that you've built.
Pretty sure I did that, but
Yeah.
we have a dev, test, and prod. But
Yes, so you should have all of that there. But yeah, if for some reason you're missing an environment, I would recommend that would be a bug you can so you can see here like there are 2 environments that we have. So this is where dev, test, and prod would show up, including the CRM or the sales environments. So yeah. So unfortunately, it looks like we're at time, so I'm gonna let the next presenters come in. But for those of you who still have questions, we can hang out for a few minutes and answer questions here as well if you like. So thank you very much for joining.